I'm Matthew Woods, host of Leading Out of the Woods, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you are listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to exercise by walking about my neighborhood to take in podcast content, then reflect in an unedited video, which I finally post to my Twitter channel. This podcast will be a regular collection of the audio from these selfie videos. You can follow me on Twitter at Fresh Air at 5 or check out my website, briancarpenter.com, for other content I have created and collected.
Hey, PLN, Monday, September 17th, 2022. Welcome to episode 94 of Fresh Air at 5. 6 episodes until 100. I don't know what I'm going to do special for 100. Got to think about it. Got to get something done. But there's a lot going on right now in my life, and we just did some work on our house, new furnace and heat pump, and we're doing a reno in our basement suite, and just, conference coming up that I'm working on with MyPITA here in BC, and excited about that opportunity this coming Friday. But just lots going on, and teaching, doing my normal job, parenting. So I've got to get some thoughts down and figure it out for episode 100 of the podcast. All right, this morning's beautiful. Here in BC, we have an exceptionally warm October. For Saturday, it was 28 degrees Celsius. It's like summer temperatures, and which is concerning because it shouldn't be that way climate-wise. And, at this time, seasonally, it's too warm. So, concerned about climate change, concerned about things like a year ago at this time, we were on the verge of a big atmospheric river coming in, and it came in November, and it wrecked a lot of this lower mainland or Fraser Valley and in parts of British Columbia due to the flooding. So, there's concerns about that happening again, but it's so weird to have such warm weather, being out in t-shirts in the evenings in October, and we haven't had rain in about 3 months. So yeah. Okay. Strengths and weaknesses for Mindset Monday, episode 8 of season 3 with George Koros. And George, thanks for sharing your strengths and weaknesses conversation about how we can use our weaknesses to be our strengths sometimes. And you talked about people with dyslexia, as Malcolm Gladwell pointed out, in his story about David and Goliath, about how people with dyslexia can typically be, CEOs of company. That's a trait that they have because their attention to detail. I'm just thinking about you, George, and hoping that you weathered Hurricane Ivan, and that you're doing well. All right. Thanks for your thoughts. Appreciate it. Bye. One more thing for October 17, 2022. As I'm walking up the hill here, I'll probably start huffing and puffing. I listened to episode 6 of season 3 of Mindset Monday with George Koros and Innovators Mindset Podcast. And George, I'm just catching up today on the most recent 3 Mindset Mondays because they got away on me, and other podcasts to listen to, and holidays, and just the fullness of all of it. But hey, this morning, as I'm listening, which is awesome, it's fantastic, you talked about maybe the things we dread can really be good for us. Something like that. It's not the title exactly, but how can we face the things that we dread, and after we're done, they are leveraged to are good for us, And part of Fresh Air at 5 is one of those things that has helped me about getting out my door. And I don't say dread, but I didn't like going out and working out and doing those things, and running, not my thing. But me forcing myself to get out the door for Fresh Air at 5 has helped my health, helped my mental health, physical health, emotional health, and it's been very good. You relate the story of taking Odom and Cooper from Edmonton to Florida and how you traveled with them. You weren't looking forward to it, but now your dogs and walking is super important because you didn't do that when you were in Canada and had that connection with your animals. That's great to hear. Thanks for your vulnerability, George. I got one more episode to listen to, episode 7. That's coming up, and I'm looking forward to it. So yes, people, take a listen to Mindset Monday. George has some great ideas, great things to say, and you should think about these things too. Okay, bye. One more thing for October 17, 2022, Season 3, Episode 7 of Mindset Monday with Innovators Mindset Podcast with George Koros. Thank you, George, so much. Appreciate your thoughts about putting the weights back. I'm like, what is he talking about? Saw the title, I was like, what? You're going to do what? And anyhow, so it has to do about responsibility in our culture and how we have a culture of caring that we work and live in, and how we do things in our culture that perpetuate in our culture. You could have the way people speak to each other, the way they care about each other. One of those things, and this is what you're talking about, George, is you go to a gym. It's a franchise gym across North America when you're traveling and stuff like that. And you talked about the different cultures of people cleaning up after themselves in the workout space and resetting equipment and putting the dumbbells and movable weights back on the rack where they belong and cleaning up after themselves. And you related this to schools, where principals model picking up garbage, making, not doing it just to get the attention, but that students will notice and notice the behaviors of the leaders around them, and will start to emulate and do those kinds of things because it's important for our culture. So yeah, it's good to hear. For myself as a fisherman, when I go fishing, I put my stuff back after I'm done for my own sake and my own fishing culture, that I am ready the next time I go fishing. I know where things are. I'm not looking for things. So, that's maybe a little bit of the, it's not OCD for me, but those tendencies to make sure that you know where your stuff is. So when you need it, you can do that. When you're doing trades and you got your tool pouch on, putting your hammer back in the same spot every time so that muscle memory kicks in, as opposed to you're having to think about, where's my hammer? It's beside you, it's on your side, tape measure goes in a certain pocket, things like that. So how are you affecting your culture where you are about modeling and caring for people around you? Thanks, George. Appreciate it. This is the third segment of Mindset Monday that I listened to this morning. I'm now caught up. You should take a listen to Mindset Monday. He's got episodes from previous seasons to listen to too. Thanks, bye. Hey, PLN, Tuesday, October 18, 2022. Good morning to you. Still smoky here. The temperature hasn't cooled off, but I hear the rain's coming. So this weekend, apparently, we're going to get wet. So that's good. The earth needs it, and we all need to get some rain here where I live. All right, this morning as I'm walking, I listened to the Wired Educator podcast with Kelly Croy, episode 226. And Kelly, I want to say welcome back into the saddle, bro. Welcome back to your microphone and your podcasting gear, and connecting you with us out here at the other end of the speakers. Kelly, it was a pleasure to be on your podcast, episode 221, back in March of this year. And we're only 5 episodes since then. That's because you've taken a break since the spring, and you've needed that. So it's good to take a break and take Kelly's lead. When you need to take a break from something that you're doing that's so regular, make sure you take that break so that you can take care of yourself and your wellness and all that stuff. All right, so on episode 226 of the Wired Educator podcast, Kelly talks with Karen Roby, who is the Director of Teaching and Learning. I like that title, Karen, in Gibbonsburg schools in Ohio. And fantastic to hear, Karen, you go through the details and the minutia of what you do as a bridge between teachers and curriculum. And you are effectively the director of curriculum. We have one of those in our district, Perry Smith. Shout out to Perry Smith in our district here. I'm going to tag him in the tweet so he sees this and possibly listens. That you talk about what you do and how you do some of those things, connecting, providing providing newsletter content, professional learning opportunities, challenging teachers, growing each other, and being present in schools to see that the difference that you're making is actually making a difference in kids' lives. Because at the end of the day, that's the whole point of all this that we are doing. We like our jobs, we like our work that we do, but if it's not making a difference in kids' lives, then we need to change some things. Thanks so much. Peace out. Have a good day. Hey, PLN, Wednesday, October 19, 2022. Welcome to Wednesday, and we're halfway through the week. Well, it's the beginning of Wednesday, so we're not halfway, but almost there. You know what I mean. So, yeah, I hope you're doing well. I am doing pretty good. Doing okay, actually. I'm getting ready to head off to do some Pro D, Professional Specialist Association work with MyPITA this weekend and Thursday and Friday. So I'm excited about that opportunity, that change of scenery. I have to prep for my classes tomorrow with my 9s and 10s and 11s and 12s as I'm away from the building, handing over a TOC plan. And I don't do that a lot, which I find challenging, but it's okay. It's good practice, good thing to do, and have students have somebody else work with them for a short period of time than me. All right, this morning as I'm walking, I listened to episode 86 of the Tom Schimmer Show, and Tom brings us another power-packed episode of 3 segments, and I am thankful for each thing that I hear from Tom today. The first was, about complaining and complainers, and the difference between complaining and being a complainer. One is an acute response to something that is egregious compared to a character quality and trait of a person that is you have a label as a complainer. So I like what you had to say, Tom, and great for breaking that down. It's about ego, it's about pomp and your position, and what's the point of what you are doing? Trying to change a problem that is there, or just trying to get it out there so people know you're so fancy. So yes, no, I had never thought for a moment, Tom, that your rants about your luggage and travel this past summer were about you being a complainer. It was just, I laughed alongside of you as I heard you laugh, because, these are crazy stories. So, yes. Second segment, and I'm going to move into the one more thing in a moment, was with Joe Feldman, who is assessment guy, and I have more to say coming right up. Thanks. Hang on. One more thing for October 19, 2022, as I listen to the Tom Schimmer Show, episode 86. The first segment was about complaining. I talked about that like that. And then as we move into the second segment, he has an interview with Joe Feldman, who wrote a book about equity in grading and about our biases, our implicit biases in the way we approach assessment, and how our biases affect the output of our assessment. And we have racialized things, we have other things about students that we have a tendency towards in a bad way or a good way, and how there is inequity in our grading systems, and we need to work on being more across the board so that students at all socioeconomic places can have an opportunity to be successful. It was challenging for me to hear because I look at myself and go, oh my goodness, I've got so many implicit biases. I'm working on being attentive to those as I do mark student work and be on the more gracious side and understanding, their situations. And as far as late marks and given zeros for things being late and deductions, understanding their situations. But at one point there has to come a place where, what do we do with that empty box? What do we do with it at the end of the year when I have to make a summative statement about their progress? So that was there. And then finally, in Assessment Corner, Tom, thanks for the whole Rubrics 101 talk that you did, and sharing your understanding of rubrics and the different minutiae of it. And I need to go back and listen to this again, because I am one of those that is scared of the rubric in the sense of writing the rubric. If somebody gives me a rubric they've written, I will have more of a tendency to use that than modify it and have it be wrong. So that's my thoughts, and thanks so much. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye. Hey, PLN. It's Thursday, October 20th, 2022, a day I've been looking forward to for a while as we are stepping into a conference, and I'm part of the MyPITA Professional Specialist Association of the BCTF, and we're working on a hybrid conference, and I've been tasked with providing support for the hybrid experience for our members so that they can join from afar as well as in the room, and to provide an experience that they can do. I've learned this over the years from the likes of Randy Labonte and Thomas Deitch and others of the BCDLA, Danica Coddington, and we've worked on this problem of how to do this, and we're bringing it to the MyPITA organization. We've had an online conference, been fantastic in the past, and now it's go day. So I've got a leave of absence today from my district so that I can be out in towards the Vancouver area where our conference is, and then tomorrow's conference day. So prep day today, conference day. And on my prep day, as I'm going in that way, I'm going to be meeting with Tom Schimmer. So shout out to Tom Schimmer. Thanks, Tom, for being willing to meet with me at 10 this morning. We're going to have coffee, sit down, and just have a quick chat to connect, because we've been connected through Be Real, through Twitter, and I listen to his podcast, and I don't know if he listens to mine, but we connect, and I'm grateful for that. So that's going to happen later today. Highlight for me is coming, so that's pretty exciting. Yes, this morning, as I'm walking, I listened to episode 28 of Evolving with Gratitude with Lainey Rowell, as she had on guest Megan Lawson. And Megan, I think I'm going to start reading your blog and taking a look, because the things I heard you talk about with Lainey were impactful for me and significant. And you talked about perfectionism and how that's a killer of being human and being who we are, and other things. Hey, I'm going to be right back. So just 1 second. I got one more thing to say coming up. One more thing for October 20th, 2022. Continuing my thoughts on episode 28 of Evolving with Gratitude. I hope that's the episode number. I didn't check. I think it is, though, Lainey Rowell, as about Evolving with Gratitude, as she has on guest Megan Lawson. And Megan, I was saying that, I'm impressed by what I heard from you saying, and that, I heard you talking, and you're just so eloquent in the way you do so. But then you paused in the podcast and went, well, maybe we can do a retake of how I talked about my book that I'm writing. But you know what? You said, no, I have to be okay with how it came out. Well, that's what I do here. This is how it comes out. I don't sit down and, chop this up. I try to be mindful of how I talk and what I speak about. And people have said that authenticity is what makes Fresh Air at 5 what it is. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that part of yourself. I think as teachers, we are kind of on a stage sometimes, a lot of the time, and people look at us and go, oh, they're doing such a great job, and look at that shiny thing they do. But we have our bad days. Bad days. I've had some bad days recently, and I have done my best to honorably model for my students how to progress through a technical, difficult challenge. We've had transitions to Microsoft accounts from Google accounts, and using different learning management systems, and the different tools of technology that I use in my classroom space. Some days I just stand in front of them and go, I don't know, this is not working. We got to try something else. And just the pause and carrying them along the journey of that modeling, I think, is really, really important. I'm looking forward, Megan, to when your book comes out, because I want to read the chapter you talk about perfectionism, because to me, that's a big part of our world that's so ideal, but that's not actually attainable, and being excellent is more important than perfection. Now, a couple things more to say is the want to, have to, and get to. I think the want to needs to be in there as well. All right, Lainey and Megan, talk to you. Bye. The last thing for October 20th, 2022. All right, I just listened to, as I told you in the previous two segments, Evolving with Gratitude, episode 28, titled Mesmerized by the Now Moments with Megan Lawson. And that was the title of the podcast. And Megan, I have to say, and I was like, okay, I thought I was done, but no, it's just still there. And I just need to say that the now is so very important in our living. We spend all the time in the now. We spend much time in the past that has gone by, in the future. And you talked about anger and fear, as you know, the forward and backwards emotions about our past and our future, but living in the now. And you know that the now is such a momentary thing that we need to totally and fully embrace it, because it's going to be with us all the time. So my one word for 2022 is presence, which is related to the now. And it's about being present wherever I am, with whomever I am, fully and completely, so that I can enjoy and be thankful for these moments that I have. So I wanted to say that because your talk about the past and the future and being right here, that's so very important. That's feeds into your definition of gratitude, is about being mesmerized and appreciating what got you to this place right now. So for me, I just walked around my neighborhood. I'm coming up to about 5.5 kilometers, and thankful for my morning walk every day. If you could, Megan, please take a listen to my podcast. I'd like that. And Lainey, if you have a moment and have a chance. Also, I'm a big George Couros fan. George has been a significant part of my Twitter journey. He was there at the beginning, though he didn't know it, and I signed up for Twitter during a keynote back in 2011 that he gave, and George and I have connected a couple times since. I was a guest on his podcast recently for 3 questions, and yes. All right, I had to say it, and thanks, George. Big George. Peace out. Bye. And it's Friday, October 21st, 2021, walking into North Delta Secondary for the MyPITA conference. I'm on the executive doing some conference work planning last night, and we got the big show today. So looking forward to hearing from Dr. Gordon Neufeld, Joanne Calder, and others that are here presenting. So here we go, another beautiful day. Well, actually, it's beautiful because it started raining, and we haven't had rain in like 3 months. So it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Have a fabulous day and enjoy the rest of your weekend. All right, that's it for episode 94, Fresh Air at 5. Bye. As my one word for 2021 is appreciate, I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific podcast episodes in the show notes for your learning convenience. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoyed this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can also be found on Voice Ed Radio. Your voice is right here, and on the Education Podcast Network, Podcasts for Educators, Podcasts by Educators. I hope you have a fantastic day and get some fresh air before the day is out, and take care of yourself because you're worth it.